Pennywise. I'm sure we all know who he is. Killer clown who feeds off children's fear to become stronger, giving him the ability to catch these children and chow down on them like a light snack. I mean, I'm sure everybody watching this video probably already knows that, right? Unless, of course, you haven't seen the movie. Or should I say movies, considering that there are two different versions of Pennywise from both It 1990 and It 2017. Obviously, we all know that no matter what generation Pennywise is, he's still the scariest motherfucker around. But the question is, which Pennywise is actually the best? 1990 or 2017? Well, in today's video, not only will we be discussing and trying to find out who is the better Pennywise, but we will also decide in the end, if these two were to throw hands, who would win. But yes, without further ado, I think we should just get straight into it. Now, before we actually get started, let me preface this by saying I have not seen It Chapter 2 from 2019. Yes, I know, I'm a loser who hasn't took the time to watch it, even 7 years later. But yeah, since I haven't actually seen it, we're just going to be going off the first It from 2017 when it comes to discussing the new Pennywise. Okay, now that we've got that out the way, let's get to comparing. I'd say the nicknames we should give the old and new Pennywise are 1990 and 2017, just the years that their movies came out. Let's start off with, obviously, the original, 1990. Now, as we all know, the original It came out in, obviously, 1990, and was actually the first It I ever saw. Well, actually, no, that's false. It was just the first look at Pennywise that I ever had, but I didn't watch the whole movie yet at that time. The first actual full movie I watched was It 2017, but we'll discuss that later. But yes, back to 1990. That motherfucker was causing such terror, they had to make his shit 3 hours long. Which, yes, I know it's a show and a movie, but either way you look at it, he still caused terror for 3 hours. And me personally, I don't know how you guys feel, especially after seeing the demon that 2017 was, but that motherfucker from 1990 terrorized not only those kids, but my dreams as a kid as well. I remember seeing the Georgie scene on YouTube, yes, the Georgie scene, and let me say, not only does that motherfucker look scary as hell, but he does scary things as well. This motherfucker chomped off a kid's arm and dragged him down to the sewer to get fried up like some Popeyes for the wise man to enjoy. Okay, random thought, but who the fuck lets their young child go play in the rain by himself with no supervision from even his older brother? I know he was sick, but come on, you couldn't at least watch that little motherfucker? Whatever though, not what we're talking about right now. But yeah, not only did the wise man from 1990 chomp him with some little ass teeth, which probably made it more painful since he couldn't just chomp right through it, but then took his body for him to never be seen again, at least not physically be seen again. If you know, you know. And as I'm sure we all know, the wise man loves to put fear into the kids one by showing them some of their biggest fears or even just showing their past trauma. If you really take time to think about it, he was putting these motherfuckers in a genjutsu for real. But y'all are not ready for that conversation. But let's actually talk about some of these fears that the wise man was actually inflicting on these kids to get closer to them. The wise man ended up finding Ben and turned into his dad and tried to get him to come closer with a balloon. And not gonna lie, if you can get bribed with a balloon, you low-key deserve to go, my boy. Although Ben didn't come closer, so obviously he did not get murked, but Ben's dad did previously, get murked in the Korean War, giving him trauma. The wise man knew this and literally turned himself into bro's dad to try and get him. This obviously made the trauma worse for Ben in the future, as we all know. But this isn't the only thing 1990 wise man did to solidify him as a D1 demon. He also taunted the other kids by using their fears against them. The wise man was planning on capturing all of the Losers Club to try and chow down on them, but they actually ended up finding the strength to fight back. They decided to not let their fears torment them, stopping the wise man from gaining any more strength and power. And with some weapons and teamwork, they were actually able to defeat the wise man, but only for about 30 years, cause that motherfucker came back when they were adults. Usually Pennywise only likes to feed on children, but I guess since they were able to defeat him all those years ago, I don't know, maybe he decided he wanted to get his get back, I can't really remember. But this half of the movie is where the actual 1990 wise man demonry really starts to get active. First things off, Pennywise returned to murk a young girl just to let everyone know that he was back in town. And of course, some of them as adults were fucked up from the events that took place 30 years prior, and one of them, whose name I can't remember, actually got word that Pennywise was back and decided to self-check out just so he didn't have to deal with all of it again. Which honestly, I can't really blame him because the events that took place after were really insane. They ended up deciding they wanted to fight back once again, but this time, put him in the dirt for good. At some point, Pennywise ends up putting Bill's wife in a genjutsu, and then the Adult Losers Club ends up fighting this motherfucker once again. But this time, he transformed into a giant spider creature, which was kind of crazy if you ask me. But even that didn't stop them, and they once again put the wise man in the dirt, this time for good though. So as you can probably tell from all that, 1990 wise man was in fact a demon. But was he worse than 2017 is the real question. So now, let's talk about the 2017 wise man. Even if not better, this motherfucker was just as much of a demon as 1990 was. He obviously did some of the same things as 1990 did, like capture Georgie, feed off the loser's individual fears, and then gets destroyed at the end for about 27 years. But what happens in between is what will determine if that motherfucker is really insane like we think. For starters, this motherfucker shapeshifted into Georgie to torment Bill and make him feel guilty for Georgie's death. Then he shapeshifted into Beverly's father, who was very word rhymes with obtrusive. And then to top it all off, the wise man said, fuck the sequencing, I'm gonna try and get this motherfucker now, and attacked Richie in a room full of clown dolls. He was obviously unsuccessful, but he still tried, which makes this whole thing even more, insane. And then there's so much more in between that I honestly don't even want to mention, or this video will be like 40 minutes long. But yes, that's like a good majority of what the 2017 wise man did, and that's just the first movie. But now to actually compare the two. As we know, 1990 wise man obviously had some demon time moments, especially in the second half of his movie. But then again, it took him like 30 years to do all that shit. 2017 wise man did all that plus more just in about a few weeks. And yes, even though he still got murked in the end, it's just gotta be that way. He's the villain, that's how it works. But yeah, to sum it all up really, if you ask me, 2017 wise man takes the cake for best Pennywise. And again, that's everything he did in just the first movie. He could have and probably did do even more in It Chapter 2 that I don't even know about at the moment. But yes, again, 2017 wise man officially takes the cake. Now when it comes to who would win in a fight between the two, obviously 2017 wise man. I honestly don't even know why I had to mention that. I just said 2017 wise man is better, but whatever. It's been decided now. So yes, as you can see, both Pennywise are crazy and twisted in their own ways, but 2017 wise man is just twisted on a different level. Again, this motherfucker did all that in just about a few weeks. It took 1990 wise man 30 years to do all the terror that he inflicted on the Losers Club, but it took the 2017 wise man just a couple of weeks. Again, just thought I'd mention that once again. But yes guys, I think that's gonna have to conclude today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please do not feel afraid to glaze me in the comments. Follow the Twitch, follow the TikTok, follow the IG. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.